I want to go to Pauline Hanson in Canberra in just a minute, but before I do, let me just show you what transpired in the Senate yesterday, just before we went to air, when the Senate President led the Welcome to Country and the One Nation senators, all four of them, turned their backs.
I acknowledge the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, who are the traditional custodians of the Canberra area, and pay respects to the elders past and present of all Australia's Indigenous peoples.
There you go. Let's go to Pauline Hanson, the One Nation leader and founder, joining us live from Canberra. Good to talk to you, Pauline. Now, you've done this before, but it's the first time you've had a team of senators all turn their back on the president when there's this Welcome to Country going on. Why be so impolite?
Chris, I haven't just done it recently, and it wasn't the first time yesterday. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. The other two senators that have now joined me, they are of the same opinion. They have had a gutful of this welcome to Parliament on the Parliament floor every morning, plus also around the country. And the reaction from the public has been overwhelming. Just on two platforms, there's been over 7,000 views. There's been over, nearly 6,500 comments with it. That's just on one platform. And people are actually saying, good on you. You're standing up for us. We're fed up with this. We voted against the Voice. We don't want this. It's overdone. And I didn't do it in front of the Governor-General. This is when Parliament had started, so I wasn't going to be disrespectful then. But, Chris, I have had enough, and I do not want a Welcome to Country and to be disenfranchised from my own country that I was born here.
You're not
and I want to make a point to the Australian people.
I know you'll get a lot of support for this. I know I'll get a lot of criticism for my stance. Now, I agree that the Welcome to Country is overdone. It's ridiculous how often we see it at the start of various meetings and online forums and the like. But I think it's a really good initiative in the right place at the right time, the start of the grand final, at the start of some Indigenous events, and surely a place when you're opening Parliament and getting down to proceedings, it's just a respectful way to acknowledge the land that we all live on and the people that were here first and the culture that is ongoing. It's just polite.
Sorry, Chris. No, sorry. I'm past being polite when I feel disenfranchised from my own country, and that's a feeling from the Australian people. And this is said every morning. Every morning Parliament starts.
But how is it disenfranchised? How are you disenfranchised just to recognise our history?
Because to recognise that they are the traditional owners of the land, and then we see it go further than that. We see kids being indoctrinated in the educational system, and that they actually have more rights over the lands than what the Australian people do. This is causing division. It's divisive. I'm not turning my back on the Australian people. That's why I'm doing it, and that's why Australians are backing me, because you've got someone standing up, got the guts to actually stand up and say, we've had enough of this. And governments will actually keep feeding this division if someone doesn't stand up to it.
In that act, you seem to be turning your back on Indigenous people or those people who want to recognise Indigenous culture. And look, I agree with you. A lot of this stuff is overdone. And, of course, there are Indigenous activists who overclaim. But just to open the Parliament and recognise that there were traditional owners of this land and recognise that is where we are meeting in the Parliament. How is that not just polite and inclusive and a general recognition of our country's shared history?
Chris, this is not about the opening of Parliament. This happens every morning that Parliament is sitting. So that's just not the opening of Parliament. If it's just the opening of Parliament, I will accept that. But it's not just the opening of Parliament. As other people, even the street sweeper, the council worker, he had a gut full of it because it's before they actually go and do their jobs to sweep the streets.
This is my point.
Jobs they do. Yes, it is. This is bloody ridiculous. So whether it's his job or whether it's my job, whether he's fed up with putting up with it, but I'm saying I'm fed up with putting up with it as well. So, it's not being disrespectful. I'm not talking my back on Australians. I'm turning my back on these policies and ideologies that are dividing our nation and the tokenism that's going on. It's about time. I've been speaking about this for the last 30 years. And look at the state of this country. It's in one hell of a bloody mess. I'm not pulling a stunt. I'm sticking to my values and my principles and what I believe in. I want to see a united country as one nation, not this division that's happening. And these people are pushing their own agenda. The activists which we see with Lydia Thorpe on the floor of Parliament, have no bloody respect for any of our system, but she is there. So I'm standing up for what I believe in. I am an Australian. I welcome people that are born here and people who actually come from overseas to migrate here. I welcome everyone that have a right to this land. Do not acknowledge people that because they're traditional owners.
Well,
that was introduced by Ernie Dingo in the 1970s. It is not a custom of the Aboriginal people. That's rubbish.
Sure, but it's a nice idea and it's inclusive. I believe it's sad that you're doing that, although there has been so much of this overdone. That's why that Darebin council, or whichever council it was in Melbourne, and where that council worker stood up against it, that's where that overreach is so damaging, because people doing too much of this stuff, you get a backlash now where people want none of it, and you're talking about wanting to get rid of it from our parliament. I think that's very sad, because just after the Welcome to Country, of course, in the Senate yesterday, as they do every day, they also had this.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Now, not everybody in the Senate is Christian, yet people show their respect to that tradition.
That is tradition and something that's done right for the educational system of schooling, and it's been in part of our history, Christian values that we have, and that's, yes, it has been part of it. Not something that's been made up, that's been pushed down our bloody throats. Chris, you've got to look at the fact is, it's saying that we acknowledge these people as the traditional owners, to pay them respect, past, present, and emerging. Why should I pay someone respect? I don't know who they are, and emerging? Because some of these elders, I wouldn't give them the time of day because I don't have respect for it. People have to earn respect. You don't have to automatically give that respect.
Well,
respect
Pauline,
me as an Australian that was born here, and I have every right to be acknowledged for this land. If you keep handing the land to the Aboriginal people, you know what's going to happen? If we ever have problems here and war is going to face our shores, who is going to sign up to fight for a land that we've been told we don't own or be part of?
We're not being told we don't own it.
Yep.
We're just recognising that there were other traditional cultures here beforehand. And look, I knew you and I would disagree on this, but it was important to have the debate.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us, Pauline. I appreciate it. Pauline Hanson there. I wanted to get onto net zero with Pauline, but I knew we'd get bogged down in that debate. Look, you'll have your view, I have my view, Pauline has hers, but I think this is where those lefty activists overdoing this do so much damage, because they have caused such a backlash that people don't want to see Welcome to Country anywhere, and it should be available in the right place at the right time, and I think starting Parliament with it is just fine.